Girls' hostel. Nimisha was breathing heavily and trembling badly. Her hair was disheveled, and she stood in front of the mirror, trying to tie her hair back, but in panic, she couldn't manage it. That night, for the first time, Nimisha regretted her habit of staying up late. She was scared that someone was still following her. This all started when Manisha and Nimisha were both studying in Class A at a boarding school and lived in the hostel. The boarding school was known for excellent education, but the girls' hostel had a completely different story. 5 years ago, a simple and bright student in the 9th grade had died on the 5th floor of that hostel. No one ever understood how she died. The teachers and parents said she wasn't depressed and had no study pressure. At first, everyone thought it was murder, but the police never found any evidence, and the case was closed. Over the years, a rumor spread that the girl's spirit now haunted the 5th floor. Because of that, the authorities sealed the 5th floor, only opening it once a week for cleaning. About 5 years later, Nimisha and Manisha started sharing a room in that hostel. Their routine was fixed. Nimisha studied all night and woke Manisha up at 7 a.m. before going to sleep herself. Manisha would then study until breakfast time. Manisha wore glasses and always had a black thread on her wrist, given by her mother. Like most students, they didn't believe in the stories about the 5th floor but still never went there. But on the night of December 10th, something happened that Manisha had no idea about. Like always, Nimisha was studying at 12:30 a.m. while Manisha was sleeping on the other side. Suddenly, Nimisha's throat went dry, so she went to the hall to make coffee. The hall was completely silent. Everyone was asleep or in their rooms. Only the sound of the coffee machine was there. After switching it off, silence returned. Nimisha turned around with her coffee mug and was shocked to see Manisha standing right behind her. Because of the darkness, she could only see half of her face. Manisha looked different that night. She wasn't wearing glasses, and her black thread was missing too. Nimisha asked why she was up so early, and Manisha replied, "Why don't we go to the 5th floor balcony?" Nimisha's eyes widened, and a mischievous smile appeared, but before she could say anything, Manisha grabbed her hand and started pulling her upstairs. As they climbed, Nimisha noticed only her slippers were making sounds. Manisha was barefoot. Something was very strange. The 5th floor door was open that night, and they both went in. They looked around and soon found themselves in a room. It was the same room where the girl had died 5 years ago. Neither of them had known about it, but the night was freezing cold. Cold winds blew through the broken windows, and fog formed in the darkness. Nimisha noticed something scratched on the wall in big letters, December 10th. They stood on the balcony, looking down. Manisha had been wandering silently. Nimisha, shivering from the cold, asked Manisha to go back down. But Manisha ignored her completely. When Nimisha tried calling her again, Manisha finally looked straight into her eyes. And Nimisha was horrified. Manisha's eyes were completely white. In a deep, slow voice, she said, "Jump." Nimisha didn't understand why Manisha was telling her to jump. Her face went pale, and Manisha's voice grew heavier and more forceful, repeatedly saying, "Jump. Jump." Nimisha was frozen in place, hypnotized, feeling like if she didn't jump, Manisha would push her. Her eyes started closing as she untied her hair, which flew wildly in the wind. Slowly, Nimisha was falling under Manisha's control. But suddenly, there was a loud thud from the lower floor, which brought her back to her senses. She pushed Manisha back and ran down the stairs. While running, she heard a terrifying roar behind her but never looked back. She rushed into her room and locked the door tightly. Then she was shocked to see Manisha sleeping peacefully in the same position as when she had left. Nimisha's face turned pale. She woke Manisha up, and seeing Nimisha's pale face and red eyes, Manisha hugged her. When she asked what happened, Nimisha couldn't say anything. She wasn't in any condition to talk. That night, Nimisha washed her face in the bathroom mirror, tied her hair, and went to sleep. Manisha was confused about her behavior. From that day on, Nimisha started sleeping at night and ignoring Manisha. Whenever Manisha sat to study in the room, she felt like someone was watching her, and it was usually Nimisha. Eventually, frustrated, Manisha asked again what had happened that night. Nimisha finally told her everything truthfully. After hearing it, Manisha started thinking deeply and believed Nimisha because she knew that a girl had died on the same date, December 10th, 5 years ago. All the stories and rumors they had heard were true. There really was a ghost of that girl on the 5th floor. After that day, they stopped talking about the 5th floor but could never forget the terrifying incident.